I'm not gonna lie and tell you I make this recipe all the time. I don't. It's the first time I made it and it came out perfect. It's one of those recipes that's so good that you just have to print out, put it in a box, and keep it for eternity and then reuse it over and over again. It came out so good. The bottom was like caramelized. It's a apricot honey and poppy seed swirl cookies. So easy to make. Oh my god. 1 stick of butter, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1.5 cup of flour, 2 tablespoons of milk, 4 tablespoons of apricot jam, and some poppy seeds. You can either hand whisk this, but I was lazy, so I put it in my KitchenAid. I think it's a KitchenAid, right? This thing, yeah, KitchenAid, the whisker. So let it do its job. That's why I bought it. So why not? Of course, I've had to plug it in. And then, I realized that I'm using the wrong tool, whisker. But it's okay. It still got the job done, and that's what it matters. Cream that all together, and then add the 2 tablespoons of milk, and then partially, slowly add the flour. Slower than I did. Yeah, you can see a fly all over, which happens all the time. Partially still adding the flour, and it's gonna come into a dough that looks a little crusty, like it's not all together. That's okay. We're gonna work the magic and make sure everything is sticking together. Now this is gonna be refrigerated for at least 30 minutes in a plastic wrap, or you can even put it in a Ziploc. Just make sure it's like not touching air because it will get dry on the outside, and that will not be fun to save. Refrigerate for 30 minutes, and back we are here at my working station. A little bit of flour, and remember there's a lot of butter in here, so the more you're touching it, the more the butter melts, which can be a good thing, but it's also not great. So you just really have to get a feel for it. I'm gonna show you why. Like right now the dough is still like a little cold, so it looks like it's separating. How to fix that? Keep working at it. Melt that butter with the warmth of your hand, and that's what I did here. Fixed the dough. It's so much easier now to roll out, and I'm looking to make a rectangle. Yeah, because we're gonna roll it from one side. Just keep rolling this way and that way, more that way, a little bit more this way. This is gonna be the long side, and the camera's falling. It's okay, no one's watching. The dough is almost done. If you can do this, you can bake, because not everyone can do this. Transferring this into a parchment paper. If you think you're gonna have problems transferring it, you can try to roll it out on top of the parchment paper. That might be difficult, but not impossible. If you see any little cracks on the side, just fix it with your hand. No big deal. I added pretty much all of my jam that I had in the jar, and I think it was maybe 2.5 tablespoons, but it was still enough. But like the original recipe says to add 4. But I got away with 3. I don't think you need a lot of jam in here, just enough to cover the entire area. And if you feel like some areas are patchy, then you can always add a little more. You don't want too much because it's gonna squeeze out, but on the bottom it's gonna burn a little bit and caramelize. So good. Poppy seeds from one side to the other. Now ladies, if you have long nails, this will get stuck under your nail. I got my poppy seed at a German store. That's why it's in a whole bag. It's a very popular ingredient to bake with in Europe. However, in America it's sold in a spice bottle, so you can shake it out. You don't have to do it, add it on with your hands, but just cover the entire layer. And this is how much I put on it. And now we're gonna start rolling it up, helping with the parchment paper. Roll up that little piece that's gonna be the middle of it, and then just keep rolling and rolling. Don't add too much pressure. Clearly I added too much pressure because it will start to stick to the parchment paper, and you can see it's like squeezing out a little bit of jam, but it's okay. This is the ugly part. It's gonna go on the bottom. No one has to see that. It's okay. we got the roll done and it's pretty much ready. I like to cut the edges off so that everything is nice and even. And we're gonna slice it up to like this thickness, about a centimeter. And here I noticed that my dough is getting too warm, so it's harder to cut, see? And I put it back into the fridge for like 10 minutes, and if when it's cold it's easier to cut. And pro tip, with a steak knife it's even easier to cut. I don't know why, but it's just so much easier to cut it with the steak knife. Just go back and forth, don't go straight down because it will smash the whole thing, the whole log, the roll. So just back and forth motion, slowly going down, and I place them maybe like half an inch apart because it's gonna expand a little bit. But you can also like fix any like edges that don't look as round as it should be. I forgot to mention my oven was on for 350 and I baked them for about 18-19 minutes. Just keep an eye on it until it's golden. Oh, it was so good. This whole plate was gone in just a few hours. It was so delicious with tea, so perfect. I think it's foolproof recipe and you can totally skip on the poppy seed if you don't have it at home or you just don't eat it. But with the jam, it was so good. You can also add nuts instead of the poppy seed. Enjoy!